Okay, it looks like I might be live. And, sometimes we have technical difficulties and you just have to keep moving forward, right? I can see that I am indeed now on screen. And, you just never know if it's going to work when you come in, when I come in every Wednesday. But how are you? I want to say hello, and let me just do one different thing on my computer so that I can start over and say, welcome to my weekly Wednesday chat. I love to come on to both Facebook and also on my YouTube channel to talk to you every Wednesday to provide you with a little bit of creative inspiration. And my name is Anne LaFollette, and I had a 30-year corporate career until one day my boss called me into his office and told me that he was eliminating my job. And he told me to walk down the hall and go talk to human resources because I no longer had a job at the company. I'd actually been at that particular company for 15 years. And it came as a complete shock. But here's the thing, and here's why I want to talk about gaining confidence in your creative voice today. Because was not in a creative job. I had a very sort of strategy and operational job. It was in fashion retail, but I wasn't on the fashion side or the merchandising side or the creative side. But I'd always been creative as a kid. So if you're here with me live today, tell me in the comments, were you creative as a kid, but you put it to the side when you had to get a real job? Or maybe you weren't able to actually pursue it because other things came up. There were other priorities, or you didn't think you actually had enough talent and you didn't have enough cheerleaders around you telling you, yes, you do actually have what it takes and you're very talented. So I write hello, Suze. It's great to see you. I see you in the comments. So I wanted to talk today about the importance of really reinforcing and kind of knowing how to think about trusting your creative voice or your artistic voice. And one of the things that is sort of a funny story to start out is, I don't know about you, but I collect art supplies. And I've always collected art supplies because I've always had kind of this inner knowing that there is creativity inside me. And so I bought colored pencils, or I bought watercolor supplies, or I would just buy notebooks. And notebooks in particular, really pretty kind of sketchbooks, would be a little scary because when you open them up, they might have a really beautiful cover and they might have really beautiful creamy pages inside. And that was always a little intimidating because I didn't want to mess them up by actually drawing in them or making marks in them or doing a little bit of doodling or sketching. And that is just a great example of how sometimes we just have to get over that fear. And it's really helpful when you're in community with others who are trying to do the same thing so that you get some positive reinforcement and you get some positive reactions to what you're creating. And you also know that other people are feeling the same way that you're feeling. And so it helps you continue to move forward. But I also just wanted to share with you that one of the things that I have discovered over the years is that I think sometimes we imagine that real artists just wake up in the morning and automatically have inspiration every day. And that's actually crazy because that's not the case. Even very, very successful artists have those voices in the back of their head from time to time saying, oh my gosh, you've never done anything original in your life. and of course, everything has been done before, but it hasn't been done in your particular way. And I think that's what's really, really important. And one of the things that's great about this particular season that we're in is, the days are getting a lot shorter. We're going to be inside more, which does actually give us some opportunity to maybe set aside a little bit more time for our creative practice. And I wanted to give you 3 tips that really work for me when I'm trying to either get back into my creative practice, or when I need to kickstart my creative practice, or I am feeling a little bit stuck. And so I want you let me know which one of these might resonate the most for you. The first one is, I think it can be very helpful to remove any possible barriers. And so for me, when I first started, I got laid off, so I had to reinvent myself. And so when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do next, I wanted to get back into all the art supplies I had bought over the years and never used. And so I'd sit at the kitchen table and I would just make some marks. But I found that I had to clean them all up and put them away at the end of every day, because we weren't necessarily going to have dinner at the kitchen table, but I just didn't want the kitchen to be a mess. I'm a bit of a neatnik, and so I like my desk to be really cleaned off, and I like everything to be in its place. And so, art can be a little messy, right? You're getting out your art supplies and you're getting out your notebooks and you're getting out a variety of different tools that you might decide to use on that particular day. And so by having it set up in the kitchen, it meant that I was always kind of cleaning it up. And I'm just using that as an example because it created a bit of a barrier for me. It was like, well, I'm not going to do it today because I don't want to get all my supplies out. So my solution was to create a space here in my garage. So I'm actually in my garage right now, and there's a really wonderful table right off to the side here where I can sit down and I can leave my supplies out. And this was really a game changer, because if I can leave all my supplies out, then whenever I'm coming up to my creative studio, which is the garage, it's all set up for me. So there's no barrier other than having to come up to this particular up to the garage itself, which is actually lovely. It is a little cold because there's no insulation in this garage. That part is still the garage. And so I'm wearing my nice fuzzy jacket today because it's a little bit chilly in here because it's not an insulated space. However, it's an incredible space. And so one of my strategies is I can leave my supplies out. So that removes any barrier to actually just playing around. And that actually is my second strategy, which is you want to lower the stakes, meaning you want to just lower that sense of, I have to create something magnificent today, right? Because you don't have to create something magnificent every day. You just have to get into the habit of using your supplies and experimenting with your supplies and creating a little something, just a little something. And so I like to tell myself when I sit down that, you know what, I might actually do something and I might tear it out of my notebook and throw it away because I just don't want to feel any pressure. Now, I may end up liking it and I might leave it in my notebook, but by basically telling me that, I just want to do something today that's going to be really, really simple. I'm removing some of that pressure. Do you know what I mean? So that's another thing. Strategy number 2 is just tell yourself, listen, it's okay if I don't create anything super awesome today. I'm still going to get some practice in. And one way to do that is actually just play with a different one of your art supplies you haven't used in a while. So for example, I don't know about you, but I have over the years collected a lot of different pens. I have some pens, colored pens. I have lots of pencils. I have watercolor pencils. So I have tools that I don't use all the time. And a great warm-up exercise is to get those tools out and just play with them to see how they work, right? And so I can do that, for example, with watercolor pencils and add the water to them. And it's something that I don't necessarily do that often. And so I might actually create something that's totally different from what I would normally create, and also lower that sort of barrier of resistance by just practicing with a tool you haven't used in a while, whether that's a colored pencil or whether or not that's a gouache set you haven't opened in a while, or whether or not that is some other art supply that you just haven't used recently. And then number 3 is all about just giving yourself grace and setting a timer for a short amount of time. So this has also really worked well for me, so I wanted to share it with you today. And that is setting a timer for like 15 minutes or even just 10 minutes. I usually try to do 15 or 20, but I think I started out with 10. And, we all have a phone. You can set the timer on your phone and then just get started. And here's what I'd love you to do. If you try this, I want you to come back and put it in the comments. Like, how did that feel? Did that 10 minutes feel like it was an hour? Or did that 10 minutes feel like it went by in a flash? And every day is going to be a little different. Some days you sit down and you have an idea, and so then the 10 minutes goes by really fast, and the alarm all of a sudden goes off, and you jump up because you are not expecting the time to be up. And at other times, you could very well feel like that, oh my gosh, I don't have any ideas today. I'm going to start to play with my colored pencils, and like, when is the 10 minutes going to be up? But stick it out. Sit there the entire time, because something might pop up towards the end of the 10 minutes. You just never know. So those, my friends, are my 3 strategies, right? So the 3 strategies, again, are that you want to remove any possible impediment, right? Any barrier. So like, have a place in your house, or if you have a garage, maybe it's a teeny corner of your garage where you can have your supplies out and ready to go so that you don't have to set them up. And you don't have to put them away. They're always there. They're at the ready. That's number 1. Number 2 is just make some marks to warm yourself up. Use a new art supply you haven't used in a while, or just, practice something that something that you might want to have a little bit more practice around. But I love this idea of take out some supplies you've never used before and start using them. And if you have a new watercolor set, just figure out what the colors actually look like so that you have a little bit of a palette of how those colors will translate when you add water to them. That's number 2. And then number 3 is set a timer for 10 or 15 minutes and see how it goes. And keep track of how are you feeling and what days of the week, or is there a pattern that emerges in terms of when the time goes by really fast and when it goes really, really slow. I have never discovered a pattern per se. It's just like every day is an adventure and you just never know. So what I wanted to invite you to do, if you are relatively new here, or if you're not getting my newsletter, I have a relatively new newsletter called the Doodles Digest. And many of you know me from my Doodles Coaching Week. Most people come into my community by taking my Coaching Week program, which is called From Doodles to Dollars. And it will be available again soon. And you can go to my website, annlafollettart.com, to check it out and get on the wait list there. But what I'd like to invite you to do today is to join my newsletter. And to join my newsletter, which is called the Doodles Digest, you just go to members.artwithann.com/newsletter. And my sweet community manager, Pauline Riley, who's watching this with me right now, and she's in Wales. I'm in California. She's all the way across the world in Wales. She's going to put that URL into the comments. But it's pretty easy to remember. It's members.artwithann.com/newsletter. And there is an E at the end of Ann. So I would love for you to sign up for it. And if you've been on my email list for a while, but you haven't seen it, it may be going into your spam folder. So you might just need to sign up for it again so that you don't miss it. It comes out on Tuesday mornings. It's super fun. And here, I will share my screen and show you just what I was just describing. So all you need to do is go to members.artwithann.com/newsletter. You can see it right up here. It's right up here where my cursor is. And you can get my Doodles Digest. It's totally free. and it'll be delivered to your inbox every Tuesday morning. Just put your name and your best email in here and then click this orange button that says, yes, I want the Doodles Digest. And every week I share headlines from my blog. I also tell you what I'm doing on my podcast. I share what I'm loving right now and more. It's a super fun Doodles Digest newsletter, and to sign up for it, all you need to do is go to members.artwithann.com/newsletter, and I cannot wait to send it to you. So that, my friends, is today's broadcast. And I will be back again next week. I come on every Wednesday. And from time to time, I have a tech issue, which is what happened today. So there might be some random images of me frozen in the Facebook newsfeed, which I will go delete. But I'm glad that some of you could join me live. Let me check just really quickly before I let you go to see if anybody put something into the comments. If you had a question for me, sometimes I forget to open those up. And so there we go. So Suze said, I started with 10 minutes every day, which is perfect, right? Very, very good job. That's a fantastic, Suze. I love it. Okay, so I'm going to let you go. I will be back next Wednesday. In the meantime, if you're not getting my Doodles Digest newsletter, please sign up to get it. It comes out every Tuesday morning, and I think you'll love it. It's great. It always includes fantastic creative inspiration, if I do say so myself. And I would love to have you join my newsletter. And it's, of course, completely free. You can sign up for it by going to members.artwithann.com/newsletter. All right. And I will see you next week. I always like to say in closing that I am Anne LaFollette, and it's never too late to create. Bye for now, and I'll see you next Wednesday.